Welcome to another episode of Chad Sports Talk. You don't know, my name's Chad. I'm taking a dive into all sports. Here is my Week 13 college football prediction pick video. That's right, we're up to Week 13. This is the last regular season game for a lot of schools, and this is the best time of the year because it's rivalry week. That's right, the most hated rivals are going head to head. So you have classic matchups like the Iron Bowl, the Egg Bowl, the Apple Cup, the game. Old-fashioned hate. It's one of these great rivalries where you get to see the animosity between two universities go head to head, and there's a lot of matchups this week that have implications for conference championship games. So instead of really picking on a lot of the classic rivalry games, I'm going after games that have implications for the conference championship matchups. Now, only two conferences thus far has their championship game set. That's the Sun Belt with Louisiana and App State, and the SEC with Georgia and Alabama. So it means the rest of them, all 8 of them, still have some type of variable still in play to determine who is going to go to the conference championship game. And a lot of these games also have playoff implications. But before we dive right to this, if you could just go ahead and smash that thumbs up for me, especially if you like this content. And while you're there, you can also subscribe. Okay, let's just dive right in and go about last week I just went 9-3, so I did very well. But like I said, we're just going to concentrate on key matchups between the conferences, and just go to the conference I've yet to really mention, and the MAC. The MAC's very not a very flashy conference. They pretty much beat each other up constantly, but only half of the conference standings or championship games already filled. That's Northern Illinois already waiting for the winner of the Eastern Division, and that's the winner of Miami and Kent State. Kent State's actually led by the quarterback Crum, who almost has 2,500 yards passing and 13 TDs. And then Cooper is 51 yards away from a 1,000-yard season, also 10 TDs. While the Red Hawks are led by Gabbert, who also has over 2,000 yards passing and 20 touchdowns. Now, the Kent's offense is going to be challenged by Miami's defense, but I do see that the Golden Flashes should be able to squeak past the Red Hawks and clinch the East in their showdown with Northern Illinois. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and head up to the ACC, where I think the really big matchup between, as you guys may not know, I'll be using my poll system ranking. So 13th ranked Wake Forest, who are 9-2, will be visiting Boston College, who is 6-5. Now Wake is playing for a spot in Charlotte to take on Pitt, who clinched it last week. If Wake Forest lose, that means Clemson will head to Charlotte. Now Clemson got to take on the rival South Carolina this week. But with this one, I am looking for Hartman to kind of rebound from and the rest of the Wake's team kind of bounce back from the performance last week against Clemson. The Perms got let down all around, and BC is just one of these teams that it's very good. The running back Garo is only 20 yards away from 1,000 yards this season, and I think that Wake Forest will hold off a late BC charge and head into Charlotte next week to take on Pitt. The Big 12. This conference has a couple good games coming up, and a lot of it figures out who's going to be in Arlington. We already know Oklahoma State is in it already. They've clinched their ticket. There's no way they can back out of that one. But who are they going to face? First, we start with the rivalry game between the 6-5 Texas Tech and number 12 Baylor. Baylor needs this win to keep their hopes alive of making it into Arlington. And I think there should be no issue right now. Baylor is just, their offense is doing just enough, and their defense is stepping up to take care of what they need to do. Now we have to the other half of the Big 12 key matchup, and that's Bedlam. This is a huge rival game between the 7th ranked Sooners and the 5th ranked Cowboys. This will determine who's in. Like I said, Oklahoma State's already in Arlington. Now, like I said, if they win and Baylor wins, it'll be Oklahoma State and Baylor. But if Oklahoma wins, Bedlam will have a follow-up game in Arlington. So it's definitely going to be a huge matchup. And right now, Oklahoma has kind of been lackluster these past couple weeks. Against Iowa State, it was a meh game, really, for Oklahoma. I mean, they did just enough to be able to get past the Cyclones, but it was like it was definitely a team effort in that one. And against Baylor, they just fell flat. I have a feeling it's going to happen again. Oklahoma State, I think, is going to be too much. They should be coming out. Oklahoma State is just on all cylinders right now. But I think it's going to be close just because it's a huge rivalry game, and I think Oklahoma will try to knock off Oklahoma State to, have a chance to win the Big 12. But I think Oklahoma State's going to be able to edge out Oklahoma and face off against Baylor in the Big 12 championship in Arlington next week. The Big Ten has a couple huge matchups, and then a couple other ones that could play in the factor. I'll go ahead and go over the two that kind of line factors. I'm not going to really talk too much about them, but you got 11th ranked Iowa taking on Nebraska. Then that one's going to be Iowa. And then 25th ranked Purdue take on Indiana. Once again, I think that Purdue should get back on track, beat Indiana. Both these teams win. Iowa's win will knock out Purdue from contention. And then Iowa, you just have to wait to see what happens with Wisconsin and their matchup. And let's just go talk about the 5th ranked Badgers will visit Minnesota. Right now, Minnesota's a game back at Wisconsin in the West Division, so this basically is a Western Division championship game. Because if Wisconsin wins, they're heading to Indy. But if Iowa does beat Nebraska and Wisconsin loses, then Iowa gets in. And Wisconsin has turned their season around. I mean, after that abysmal start they had, they got right their ship correctly, performed in the right key time frames. Their offense is humming along. And I really don't see any issues right now with the Badgers mauling the Gophers and winning their key rivalry game and punching the ticket at Indy. Now, who are they going to face off? That will be from the game. That's right. The Oklahoma State Buckeyes, number 2, against the number 3 Michigan Wolverines in the Big House. To determine who wins the Big Ten East to face off and to go into Indianapolis. And right now, Ohio State is buzzing. They have destroyed Purdue and Michigan State these past 2 weeks. It wasn't even close. It was done at halftime. Michigan struggled against Michigan State. I know Michigan's defense, if they could put pressure on C.J. Stroud, but then you got Trevion Henderson back there as well, so it's definitely one a viable 1-2 punch that the Buckeyes have. So it's, you may stop one, but can you stop them both? And I don't think Michigan can. There's just too much talent on this Oklahoma State offense. Their defense has stepped up immensely, and Michigan does not perform well against very good defenses. Ohio State wins. Jim Harbaugh's continuing to lose against the Buckeyes. And Ohio State will punch the ticket to Indy and, for all accounts, take on Wisconsin for the Big Ten title with a playoff spot still on the line. Conference USA. This one, you already know UTSA's in. And they're trying to maintain their undefeated season, which I think they should have no issues with. But, they don't know who they're going to face off against. Is it going to be Western Kentucky? Is it going to be Marshall? Those are the two teams that are right now sitting on top of the Eastern Division in Conference USA. And they face off this weekend to determine who wins the East to face off against the Roadrunners, which I don't think it's a very, very nice thing to go about. Right now, it's a pretty much even game. Marshall's leading by 1. But the Hilltoppers offense is led by Zappy, who, or I could be butchering his name altogether. It could be just Zap instead of Zappy. But he has over 4,600 yards passing and 48 TDs. That's just, a prolific aerial attack. And then for Marshall, they're led on the ground by Ali, who has over 1,100 yards and 20 touchdowns. Should be a very good matchup between these two, but I foresee that the aerial attack from the Hilltoppers is going to be too much. They'll get past the herd and do a rematch with UTSA. Now, earlier in the season, Western Kentucky was battling back and forth with UTSA, so it should lead to a very exciting Conference USA championship game between the Hilltoppers and the Roadrunners. And then the Mountain West. The Mountain West has quite a few matchups as well, because their regular season kind of convoluted into a nice, huge conglomerate mess. Once again, there's two key games that pretty much determine the matchups of who's going to face off in the Mountain West Championship game, and 2 other ones that could have some other interesting aspects to it. Now, if you look at the Mountain West Mountain Division, you have 3 teams all at 5-2, and they pretty much beat each other. So you got to expect one of these teams to kind of fall off, but not going to be necessarily the case because they have to wait for other showdowns. And on the west side, it's really between 2 teams. That's San Diego State and Fresno State. So I kind of go with the other two games that don't really have any. I don't think will have anything in there. Air Force will take on UNLV. Should be a no-brainer. Falcons should be able to run past the Rebels on that one. And then Utah State will have to take on New Mexico. Another easy game. Utah State should actually win that one as well. So give both Utah State and Air Force 6 wins. But Utah State has the advantage over Air Force. And then we'll go on the other side really quick. And we'll have Fresno State will then take on San Jose State. This is actually tomorrow's matchup. And this is one of these games that Fresno State wins, San Diego State loses, Fresno State's in because Fresno State beat San Diego State. And with this one, I don't see any issues between these two. Fresno State is going to be too much for the Spartans. Fresno State wins, but the pressure on San Diego State. And there's only 2 teams left to really talk about. That's Boise State and San Diego State. And guess what? They're facing off. As the 22nd ranked Aztecs will play host to Boise State. This is pretty much if San Diego State wins, they're in. Boise State already will lose. That means Utah State would get in. But Boise State wins. It's Boise State, Fresno State. So like I said, this is a very convoluted conference this final week. Very exciting if you're a Mountain West fan. And with this aspect, there's Bachmeier is pretty much the key aspect for this whole entire showdown between these two. Boise State's been very, very good recently and knocking off teams, so I don't really see any issues really with Bachmeier. He has over 2,800 yards passing, 18 touchdowns. San Diego State has pretty much underperformed a lot these past couple weeks. They barely got past UNLV. They lost to Fresno State. I mean, it's just they've started off strong, but they've struggled this pretty much past month. And I think it's going to finally bite them against a very quality Broncos team. The Broncos will knock off the Aztecs, and we'll have Boise State and Fresno State battle for the Mountain West. And then the Pac-12, the only game we have to worry about because Utah's already in Vegas, waiting to see who they face off. And that's the Civil War between Oregon State and Oregon. Now, the eighth grade Ducks really have to get back on the game. They already lost 2 conference championship games. They lost 2 games. Pretty much leaves the Pac-12 out of the playoff picture. So they definitely need to get this win. Gotta give. I would say really need to win this one to get back in the picture, because there's too many other variables to take into account, especially with the American Athletic Conference Championship game between Houston and Cincinnati coming up. Still got Notre Dame still falling out there, because they should win this week against Stanford. But not having a conference championship game probably will hurt the Irish. But, the Oregon's looking to bounce back from being embarrassed by Utah. And I'm sure they'll love nothing else better than to knock off the Beavers. And the Beavers will like nothing else better than knock off their arch rival Oregon. Because guess what? If Oregon State wins, Oregon State goes to Las Vegas to take on Utah. So this is going to be a huge, huge thing to really drive this game. Should make this game very interesting. But I think it's going to be too much of the Ducks. The Ducks are going to come out, just attack, and just be too much. And Oregon will beat Oregon State to get the rematch in Las Vegas. Like I said, I only concentrate on 10 games that have effects of the conference championship game. And a lot of these do have some playoff implications, because pretty much whoever wins Ohio State, Michigan is in the driver's seat to get the Big Ten in the playoff. Whoever wins Oklahoma State will have the driver's seat of if the Big 12 gets in the playoff. And it'll lead to a very, very wild conference championship week next weekend. And rivalry week is always a great time for college football. And I know it's normally sooner than I normally do, but because it's Thanksgiving weekend, people are going to be busy. There's like key games no matter what, so I had to get this video out to you guys early for you guys to enjoy and ingest and enjoy college football this weekend. So, hey, just leave a comment down below and say which game you're really looking forward to seeing this weekend. I mean, there's a lot of quality, like I said, a lot of quality games in there, a lot of things in there. I'm definitely going to be watching that Bedlam game. That should be a really good one. I'll keep an eye on Notre Dame, Stanford, of course. See if Notre Dame go 11-1 and just sit there and wait and watch other teams lose, and maybe they creep into the 4th spot in the playoff. They'll probably get blown up by Georgia then. That seems to be the case for Notre Dame. They do so well, they get in the playoff game and just get spanked. I think it's just Kelly's curse. No, I'm just talking the side of my mouth here. Go ahead, smash that thumbs up for me. It pleases the YouTube gods. Helps the channel out. While you're there, you can also subscribe. Once you subscribe, you can click that bell notification so next time I post a video. And I'll see you on Monday with the recap of this weekend's action, and next time on Chat Sports Talk.